everybody. I'm Frank Stanisci of Candid Frank Live, where you'll find us airing our views here on the Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV, channel 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate and leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and also on all smart TVs 2016 forward. Now on Candid Frank Live, joining me as usual is Aaron William Freeland. Hello, Aaron. How you doing, buddy?
Doing well, Frank. How are you?
Oops. Oh well, it is what it is. I'm doing fine. I've had an interesting week. We put up. You may or may not have read. We put up Halloween stuff. We got giant 12-foot ghost, maybe more than 12 feet, and a dragon, and all kinds of pumpkin lights. People around here going nuts about Halloween. It's just nuts. And anyway, so so somebody the other day decided to reach in and start stealing lights and stuff. Called the police. They never called. I called them and said, "Hey, not that I expect you to do anything, but returning my concern would be nice." So they did, and there's nothing they can do because if you don't catch somebody taking that stuff, how do you identify what's yours? They have it. You have to argue over, the wisdom of Solomon enters into play, I guess. So, all right, we'll leave it at that. And then it happened the second time. And this time they took the dragon, the 12-foot dragon, and some other stuff.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. So I called the police again, and I said, better do something. So I took the indoor camera that we have in our house, and I put it on the porch ledge, right? Pointing at where the stuff was being stolen. And it's an indoor one, and what happens is it has an alarm too. So, but the alarm isn't like a car horn, car alarm. It's just a beep, 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 beep. So I tested it out, walked the yard, made sure that when I walked in the yard, it would go beep, beep, beep. Well, I didn't go to bed till about 4. It was just before 4 a.m., maybe 4:45, 10 to 4. And I go to lay down in bed, and I decided not to get ready to be in bed, so I was fully clothed. I took my shoes off, though. I at least went that far. And don't you know, I got a notification on my phone. Somebody's in the yard. I jump out of bed. I run outside, and there's a guy there. I guess he heard the beep, beep, beep. He's already heading away from the house, and he's heading to the forest across the street.
Interesting.
Right? So I see him go into the forest. Says, "You better run." And then I hid behind a tree that we had, turned off the porch light. So until he waited a couple of seconds, a minute or so, whatever, until he figured it was clear. So then he came back out of the woods and he started to walk across, and the tree I was hiding behind. So when he walked, all of a sudden there I was, and he looks, he goes, "I didn't take anything of yours." And so
this time,
next time maybe. So across the street there's an old age home, and the police said, "See if you can get a film from them if you walked in front of there." No, they couldn't do it. They didn't have. And she says to me, the manager of the place is, "Well, we were thinking of doing the decorating, and now I'm not sure we want to do it anymore." And I said to her, I learned from some people who I spoke to who speak from a perspective of hope and belief that whatever. So one friend said, you got to feel sorry for the person. Anybody who feels that desperate to steal something like that must be desperate.
Yeah.
Right? So
they've got to be.
You have to almost feel pity for them, right? And so I did. And I thought about what she said. She was totally right. So the lady at the manager at the old age home calls me, and she says, "We're thinking of terminating the idea of having the Halloween decorations, sorry." And I said to her, "Don't do that." I said, "Now you're making, that kind of stuff rule you." I said, "Don't worry about it. Ours was in the dark. Ours was a tempting offer, right? We didn't have a bunch of lights pointing, all that stuff." And so she, whoever took the stuff. I'm still not going to assume he did that day. He could have been just a new guy going after stuff.
Yeah.
You don't know. I don't know. I can't read minds. So I said to her, you should still do it. And she goes, well, I don't know. I said, well, listen, why do you do it? You do it for the old people to raise people's, enjoyment of life, right? It's the whole reason why we do it here for New Year's and Christmas. We go nuts. So she says, yeah. When I said who I was, she goes, are you the people in the crazy house? What the? You guys decorate like crazy. Yeah, yeah, we do. That's right. So they call.
Well, it's better to be known as a crazy house than, something else,
Well,
possibly less savory.
they meant she meant it. She meant it. I suppose
Yeah.
as a compliment. So the point is that they know what's going on, and she said the old people look out their windows at what we've got going on. We've seen the attendants, the people that take care of the old people, walk at the bottom of the driveway to smoke a cigarette and watch what we're doing and what we've done and that. So we know it garners some satisfaction. So I think I convinced her to go ahead and do the decorating. I guess the point is, Aaron, at times in life, it's easy to be hateful, angry, and bitter because of something someone does. So my question to you is, how do you feel about letting stuff go? And have you ever had an experience like that where you basically say to yourself, the way this, because I felt violated, we felt violated, and it's a horrible feeling, when you feel like you're not safe or whatever. Have you ever had an experience like that?
I have, and I think I've consoled myself with the fact that even if it's getting taken, that stuff is still replaceable. So, at the end of the day, it may cost me money now, but it's not like losing a life or losing a pet or, anything like that. I can live with that sort of loss. So that to me is one of those times where it's acceptable losses. I understand that a 12-foot tall skeleton or a 12-foot tall ghost is not cheap, and that sort of thing. But at the same time, you can come to grips with the fact that, yeah, we'll probably have to get another one next year, but dang it, it looked good while it was on our lawn, didn't it?
Yeah,
So
and you're right. I think what's important to note, and it may sound like, not that it isn't, but it sounds a little bit like what I said and what you said is about being kind, forgiving, and all that kind of stuff. But really, you're also freeing yourself of the anger, the hurt, and the pain.
yeah.
And I think our world spends a lot of time concentrating on what angers us, what makes us feel pain, and what makes us hateful. And I'm afraid it makes us worse people, not better.
No, it's definitely the case sometimes. I'm willing to let a certain amount of stuff go, but if you start taking all of the candy that I've left out, then we're gonna have a problem.
There will be pain. Yeah, so okay. That's it for this show. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Take it easy.
Have a good one. Okay, let's talk about some sports. We've got the CFL. Tell us about some injuries in with Hamilton. You've got there. Give us an update. Butler
All
and
right, well, let's
company.
take a let's start with the Red Blacks and
Yeah.
the Tie Cats. Evans is going to be was a full participant this morning, so that is a good sign for the Tiger Cats. The fact that he's able to come back. Same with Wes Hill. Don Jackson and Micah Johnson were both limited in their participation. Chris Van Ziel was also limited. On the other side of the coin for the Red Blacks, Devontae Dedmon did not practice. Neither did Patrick Levels. Dino Boyd was a full participant, and Abdul Kane did not practice due to an ankle injury. So there's some stuff to look forward to and see if their status changes as we get closer to Friday and the weekend.
Elks extend.
Yes, this was good. Dylan Mitchell, they've extended him through 2025. He's played 8 games with the Green and Gold after signing as a free agent this summer on the 29th. He finished second on the team with 4 touchdowns, third in receiving yards with 637, and led the Elks in receptions over 30 yards with 6 of them. So he's good on the long bomb, and he was decent for them offensively, which is something that they will need going into next season.
Bomber Densky sits out Monday practice.
Yeah, this was for those of you who have him in your pool, just keep an eye on it. Nick Dembski, it was a calf injury. He's listed as out for the game against the BC Lions, so that's a little bit of a jig to your fantasy team that you'll have to make. They have a lot of people that are on the questionable list too. I'm looking at Dietrich Nichols, Noah Hallett, Jackson Jeffcoat, Brian Cole, Malik Clemens. All of those are questionable for this weekend. On the flip side of the coin, the BC Lions are getting some good news. Nathan Rourke is expected to get some reps in their final game this week. So if you remember, he set the league on fire for the first couple of weeks of the season before going down with an ankle injury. So it's good to see him back.
The Argos might have Andrew Harris, but more importantly, they're going to give. Today, I got my spies telling me that Chad Kelly was doing a lot of repping at quarterback.
I saw that. I'm actually fairly excited by this. I met the young man. He's a fine, upstanding young fella, and I'd like to see how he does. On the other side of the coin, Trevon Tate did not practice. Taigi Sanko did not practice. But Priester, Edwards, and Cage were back as full participants. There's no word as to their status for the actual game yet. For the Montreal Alouettes, Micah Awe did not practice. Neither did Zach Lindley or Sean Jameson. Nafis Lyon himself was limited with a shoulder injury and also did not practice, but the game status hasn't been finalized yet. We'll find out closer to Saturday's game.
It doesn't. I don't know if it is or if it isn't, but it sounded like Edwards had a suspension, a team suspension of some sort.
I'm starting to think that too. But as usually is the case, CFL teams are notoriously closed-mouthed about these sorts of things. So we may not necessarily know until later.
I think what they're trying to do is, if that's what happened, he's gotten in trouble, right? And they don't want any trouble during the next game, not just
No.
this one, but the one that's coming up in the Eastern Final. So yeah, so both Winnipeg and Toronto sit out the first playoff game. So, but they're all playing with lineups that are a little shorter than they used to be, less regulars. This is the preview of the preparation for the semifinals in both the East and the West. So it's going to be really interesting.
One final note, if you don't
No,
mind,
go ahead.
Frank. I'm really actually hoping that Kelly gets in and gets more
He
than
will,
51% of the snaps,
and then he
because
gets
I'd
his
like to see him
bonus.
get his bonus.
Was it
Exactly. I'd like to see him
$6,000?
get his bonus.
6.33
I
grand or something?
I
I'm
think
trying to
so, yeah.
remember.
And on top of the money that he's already getting, it'll be a nice little
Yeah,
year for him. So
yeah,
I'm hoping he does get the reps.
yeah. Good for him. Okay, let's go to the
Yeah.
National Hockey League. Winnipeg Jets head coach Rick Bowness experiences dizzy spells.
Well, hey, he's coming off a COVID diagnosis, which is why he hadn't been on the bench for the previous two games. But during the press conference after Winnipeg's 4-1 loss to the Maple Leafs, he left the press conference a little bit early because he was feeling unwell.
Absolutely. The Jets soar past the Blues on Hellebuck's net minding skills.
Yes. So Connor Hellebuck has finally, I think, rounded the corner a little bit here. In Monday night's game, they blanked St. Louis 4-0 at Canada Life Center. So this is a good sign for them. I think hopefully he'll be rounding into midseason form shortly.
This one here makes me scratch my head. Is there a player in the National Hockey League less than Phil Kessel that you would think have the Iron Man record? I mean, really?
Oh, honestly, I was one of the guys that loved Phil when he was in
Me
Toronto. He was
too. Me too. I got his
our
jersey
lead
in my.
scorer and his lead scorer in a garbage team for 6 straight years. So, the good news is he didn't set his record against the Maple Leafs.
Almost.
He did set it the next night, however, in his 990th game against the San Jose Sharks, where he not only scored his 400th goal, but yes, took the lead for the Ironman record at 990 games. Just think, 10 more games and he'll hit 1,000, which is, I think, absolutely fantastic. I don't think he's missed a game in 13 or 14 years. So And I mean, that's partially been helped by the fact he hasn't had to play in the playoffs a lot because when he was with the Leafs, we never got out of the first round. But that's
But
another
when he
story.
did, he played well, and I think Sidney
Yeah.
Crosby won the MVP of the playoffs the year the Conn Smythe, when a lot of people thought that it should have been Phil Kessel.
Oh, most definitely. He was one of the major factors in Pittsburgh getting their 2 cups. So
Yeah, good for him, and good for the 400th goal, and the Iron Man. Just not he doesn't. If I look in the dictionary and there's a picture of Iron Man, he won't look like Phil Kessel. But
yeah.
good for him. That proves a lot. Uh, let's talk about the Leafs losing that game against Arizona. They looked. It seems every time the Leafs lose, everybody thinks they played terribly. Is that
The thing is,
possible?
I don't. They've had a lot of stinkers. You know, it's it is what it is. But what's worse than the game that they played against Arizona was the game that they lost to Vegas.
Yeah,
Because oh my goodness, did they look terrible on Monday night? And that's sitting in the parking lot having a few brown pops after playing hockey, and we're like, geez, I think we can play for the Maple Leafs at this point.
absolutely. It's quite possible. Let's talk about the Oilers. They defeated the Pittsburgh Penguins. Not a mean feat.
No, the good news is, Draisaitl had a goal and 2 assists as they got 4 goals in the second period to come from behind and defeat the Pittsburgh Penguins 6-3 on Monday night. At times, they weren't skating particularly well, but the good news is ex-Maple Leaf great Zach Hyman, ex-Maple Leafs legend Tyson Barrie, Evander Kane, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and Ryan McLeod all scored for the Oilers, who are now currently 3-3 in their season-starting 6-game homestand.
Canucks captain Bo Horvat says he feels the fans' frustration.
Yeah, the Canucks have not started well this year. Uh, they finished 40, 30, and 12. They're 0-5 or 0-6-2 now this season. I know Bo mentioned that he saw somebody throw his jersey on the ice. He said it's something that's going to stick with me. I don't ever want to have it happen to any of the other guys, but unfortunately, it seems to be. The problem is the fan base is I think divided between Horvat and Miller when it comes to who they want to follow and who they think it should keep, and I think it's sort of dividing the room as well.
Wow, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Wild defeating the Montreal Canadiens.
So this is another one of those games where Montreal, I think, is 3-3 now, but just defensive collapses at just the wrong time helped contribute to that. Joel Eriksson Ek opened the scoring and finished the scoring, and the Wild have actually gotten 5 out of a possible 6 points in their last 3 NHL games, so they've been doing well in that regard.
Former Leaf president Calgary Flame Nazem Kadri gets a 3-point game, and they decide to do their number on complete the Alberta pummeling of the Pittsburgh Penguins.
This is not been a good road trip, I don't think, for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So far, Huberdeau also had his first goal to go along with Michael Stone. So that was a good start for them. A lot of people are saying that at this point here, I think it's fairly confirmed that the Leafs have lost the Kadri trade. But my rebuttal to them is without this trade, this doesn't happen.
Yeah. Well,
So,
a lot of stuff doesn't happen. Trades are trades, and
yeah.
they're made for reasons other than the hockey team. Let's face it, the cap is in control of the National Hockey League and other leagues as well, where caps need to be adhered to. Okay, let's switch over to the news. Here in Canada, union calls for Veterans Affairs Minister Lawrence Macaulay's replacement. What's he done wrong?
Well, the Unions of Veterans Affairs Employees is saying after a meeting of local presidents and union execs, they said that they lost confidence in Macaulay. They don't believe he's doing a good job. They've written to Macaulay 3 times since June to request a meeting to discuss issues with the Canadian Veterans Rehabilitation Services Board, but the caseworkers have been unable to get him to come to the table. So they're also afraid that he's going to start contracting out to handle this sort of thing. So it is what it is.
House of Commons to vote on the bill for dental care benefit rental support this week.
Yep, this is important for Canadians. We'd like to see them get the support that they need.
Ontario, Peterborough man facing 25 charges for online bomb threats against Boston hospitals, library, and more.
Yeah, so this is an individual who, believing in the stories that were put out on Fox News about female genital mutilations going on and sex changes being done to children that are preteens, has decided to call in bomb threats to numerous children's hospitals around Boston. I'm finally glad that this has been partially resolved in that he's been charged, but it's kind of embarrassing.
Beautiful. Nova Scotia, hundreds of school staff in Nova Scotia's Annapolis Valley on strike over wages.
So they've been without a contract for a while. They actually walked out of the job on the 24th at 8 a.m., even though schools remained open. The sticking point is that people in Annapolis Valley are earning less than people on the province's South Shore in Halifax. So there's that contention there.
Let's go to Alberta. Premier Danielle Smith says she distrusts the World Economic Forum.
This is interesting. Just as when you think things can't get any worse, at the last minute, Danielle Smith decides to make it even worse. This fits into the conspiracy theory that the World Economic Forum is controlled by the Rothschilds, which is a larger conspiracy about, all that sort of stuff. It's a pain in the butt.
We only have seconds. We've got Kanye West. Wrap up his insanity.
Well, so he's lost Adidas, he's lost Balenciaga, all of his Yeezys are now appearing at Marshall for sale. People have basically stopped streaming his music on Spotify, and he's no longer a billionaire. So hopefully this situation will resolve itself, and I hope he gets the help that he needs.
There you go. He's Aaron William Freeland. Thank you for doing this, Aaron.
Thanks, Frank.
I'm Candid Frank Stanisci. Thank you for watching Candid Frank Live on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish World Radio Network. For Candid Frank Live, other news, entertainment, and sports programming we offer, please check out spanglishworld.ca. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Ciao for now.